All right. All right. Well, welcome everybody. We're back again. Yours truly, Mickey Smith Jr., back in the place, back in the space with another edition of just some time with Mickey. And today I want to introduce our guest for today. We have Miss Susann Ewing. Susann, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm ecstatic to be here and talking to you today. So
Yeah. So look, Susann, when I'm trying to think, our first opportunity to connect, if I'm not mistaken, was over the summer. Over the
it was,
summer. Yeah,
it was
yeah.
this summer, and it was a roundtable where we just sat and talked about what we were afraid about and what we were looking forward to when school started and how
Yeah.
we ended our school year and how strange that was, how we were all thrown into that situation not knowing how long we'd be there or what it was going to look like or I I'm telling you what, I learned more technology in those last 2 months of school than I've ever learned in my life. So it was just a nice sit down and talk type of moment. It's kind of like what we're doing now. So
I just got to be honest with you. Um, I was shocked that they even called me to come on the call because, it's what they call it, the imposter syndrome. Because at
right,
that time, I was thinking to myself, why are they calling me? I'm trying to figure this thing out. Little did I know everybody was trying
right.
to figure it out at the same.
Right. I felt the same way too. And Aaron, who had us come together, I had met him in Texas at TMEA. And he found out I had a Tyco program, and it just like that friendship just blossomed. And then he
Yeah.
wanted to know more about us, and I wanted to know more about him. And then all of a sudden we were going to Ireland, and then we didn't get to go because of the COVID.
Oh,
But so it was crazy how we meet people, and it brings us together with others that
yeah.
otherwise would have never met.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew of you. I knew of you because of the Grammy Award.
Yeah.
But I never imagined I get to sit and talk to you like this. So
Isn't
this
that
is
wild?
fantastic. It is. It's a small world. They
Well,
really,
I
you
tell
don't
you,
really think about it until it
you
really
don't.
happens to you. And then it
Exactly.
is a small world. It's crazy. So
And your world is pretty rocking right now, or it has been in the last couple of years. And for our audience,
mhm.
just share a little bit about who you are, so to speak, and where you're from, and if you can, just tell us a little bit about your program as well too.
Great. Well, I grew up in a small little town in Kentucky called Louisa. One of those towns where if you blink, you'd miss it. One of those type places. And I grew up in a musical family. My mom was a clarinet player who was also an amazing pianist, and she taught piano lessons to send my brother and I through college.
Wow.
So there's always music in our house, and I always knew I wanted to do music, and I was in band, and of course. The other musical part of me was dance, so I did a lot of dancing and a lot of and I tried to play sports. I was a pretty good basketball player, but
Okay.
when you get to high school, you have to like decide
Yeah.
what's more important. And I think that's made me a better teacher too, knowing that our kids now are way more involved than we were
Hmm.
at our age, and seeing what's more important and trying to help them shape what they want to be and try to keep them into music because this helps them in whatever they do.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I grew up in a little town called Louisa. When I left high school, I wanted to keep playing my instrument, but to be honest, I wanted to be a criminologist, psychopathologist.
Okay. Okay.
I wanted to be like, Criminal Minds, that TV show, because, my mom was an avid reader too. So she was always a true crime and would read into stuff like that. And so
Well,
that
I tell
amazed
you
me
that
too.
that skill set, I'm sure, has served you well in the
As
classroom.
a
You're
middle
like a
school band
behavior
director.
detective.
Yes, absolutely. I say that all the time, and the kids laugh at me. They're like, "Oh, you think we're criminals?" No, I don't. I swear, I love you. But so I went to Morehead State University in Morehead, and with the idea that I was going to be a minor in music, but um, there was just something inside me saying, "This is not really what you want to do. You enjoy this. This is something you do on the side. You learn about things like this on the side, but what you really want to do is share." Because if it weren't for my high school, middle school, and high school band directors,
Yeah.
I mean, who
Yeah.
knows where I would have been
Yeah.
had I gone to college. I mean, I always had that push from my family, but I always had those music teachers telling me, this is good, keep going, and it's important, and it's making you a better person, and look what you've done. You've shared this with your grandparents and your brothers and your sisters, and it's just, and I wanted to do that same thing for kids.
Yeah.
So and so I went to Moorhead. I graduated in 94, came to Ohio, had my first and still first job. I've been here for
Okay.
20, this is my 27th year. And it was hard. It was hard coming from a little town into a huge conglomerate of students from places all over the world. I mean, there are 32 different languages spoken at my school.
Okay.
And, all those school tests have to be, translated for all those kids. And I grew up in Eastern Kentucky,
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere, Eastern Kentucky. So my life ballooned from that moment on. It's just been wonderful. So anyway, not to talk too much about myself, but
Oh, that's
it
great.
was it was fantastic. Like I said, first and only job. I've been through many administrators. I've been through thousands of kids. I love being here. And then 15 years ago, which what I was talking about, Tycho, 15 years ago, the Arts Council in our city came to me and said, we want to have an artist-driven residency at a school with this amazing taiko performer named Eitetsu Hayashi, who's, if you know anything about taiko, is one of the founding members of the Kodo drummers, Onde Koza. I mean, he's like fantastic, but kind of branched out on his own because he wanted to take taiko all over the world,
Okay.
which
Okay.
really spoke to me because a lot of those Japanese performers are, Sato Island, you're on that island, you do it there. And he wanted to take it, and he's played all over the world with symphonies and with the chieftains in Ireland. And I mean, he's gone to Australia. I mean, he just travels. So when they came to me and said, we know you like different experiences, what do you think? I was like, yeah. So he came every other month for a year and trained kids and me for a summer. And boy, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. But we had started with a core group of 20 kids, and that bloomed into 60 kids, and then that bloomed into 90 kids, and then 2 years ago there was 116. So we're the largest youth taiko drumming ensemble in America.
I was
Well,
going
in
to ask. It's
North
got to
America.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only one that's bigger is in Japan itself. So, but I mean, and that's been hard too with the pandemic. I mean, you're, in bare feet in a floor playing, sweating. I mean, it's a workout, sweating, screaming, because a
Yeah.
lot of it is, the ki with your voice, and we just had to stop it. So I haven't seen those kids since March, and
Wow.
it's killing me.
Well,
The biggest stressor, just keeping the kids engaged,
yeah.
making sure that when we're on, and that's in the remote, in hybrid, the biggest stressor was, do I have my mask on? Oh my gosh, I got to put my face shield on. Oh my gosh, are those kids close, too close? I mean, because people pop in all the time just to make sure we were mitigating all that. And I mean, I did the whole boxes where the chairs are, your chair goes in that box and you're always in chair 5, I mean, that was stressful at the beginning just to make sure, I mean, and then making sure I get the kids out in time and they all have to clean and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But I worry about the kids who never turn their cameras on.
Mhm.
Like I can
Mhm.
hear them when I ask them a question, their mic comes on, but I don't see them.
See
See,
them.
that worries, that only stresses me because I worry about what they're feeling mentally and how they're doing physically and the whole 9 yards. I think that stresses me out more than the act of actually teaching band.
Sure.
I'm pretty bad at, if somebody's not, if they're not engaging, I shouldn't say it's bad. My goal is to make sure that I check on them outside of that call.
Yeah.
So I've spent a lot of time, like we'd have time during the day that was blocked off for, while we were in school, for cleaning and things like that. But in that time, I always had this band help, like
Mhm.
Zoom area, so kids could come if they needed help. But if I had no one, then I would literally call parents and say, I know they were logged in, but they're not dialed in, and I just want to
Yeah.
make sure everything's okay. And sometimes it was because they were watching 5 or 6 siblings, because both
Exactly.
parents are out working and in jobs, and making sure that they have money to buy groceries, and that stressed them out. And when I'm really I'm really happy that I have a relationship where I can say to the kids, I get it, I understand. Send me a message. If you're with 5 siblings and you don't want to turn your camera on, just send me a message so I know you're there. And when I ask you a question, if you don't want to put it in the chat, send me a message on, Schoology, which is what we do. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, and some kids have one device for 4 children or 3 children, and trying to, I just, and I think that worry, and not having any children, not being blessed with any of my own children, these are my children.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I worry about them, and I just want to make sure that they're okay. So I spend a lot of time outside of class, making sure that the kids are okay that do that. But my eighth grade band right now, the kids who are hybrid, I have about 60, their cameras are always on and they're all complaining because, oh, you're making it run slow. Can't we turn our cameras off? Well, so-and-so, make sure your internet's causing, and I'm like, guys, they are so into it. Like they want to be there and be seen and whatever. And, but there's some other kids that I just don't see and it worries me. So. But you know what? The other thing I had to learn the first time we locked down, like at the end of the 2020 school year, the first time before the summer, the one thing that my husband, that bless him, I mean, he's a musician, a percussionist, a teacher as well. At 4:00, he was like, "You're shutting your computer and we're going for a walk.
Yeah.
You have to unplug." And I was like, okay. I mean, we ended up walking a 5K almost every day, so over 200 miles during that little stretch of time. And it's so true. I mean, we have to take care of ourselves too. We have to. We can't just do, I mean, this is great. Don't get me wrong. And I've talked to way more people, like this, but we've got to take care of ourselves. But I think I have the best husband in the world because he says, he goes, "How were the students today?" And, he asked me about my day. So getting to decompress the day and talk about, and having someone who's there just to listen and not try to give me like, and we all don't we all have those friends who when you're upset about something like, oh, I did this, well, at least you have a job.
What is it? What's the components of your class?
Are you talking about the way I have set up or what I do when I'm on the stage?
Yes and yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, right now, like I said, they have their own brightly colored box on the floor with spike tape. But literally, they know when they come in, there's always going to be. My thing is when they walk in, I say hi to them by name. Every single kid that comes in. I do it on my Zoom calls as well. When they pop on, I try to, and then like somebody, you forgot me, so that I feel like that one little part of it is important to me just because they know that I care that they're there. But if I don't do it, then they know there's something going on. But usually every single class, no matter how big, I will stand at the door and make sure that, and they know that everything that I want them to accomplish is going to be on the board. So they never have to ask a question ever. Are we playing today?
Exactly.
You're in band.
Exactly.
However, look at the board. If you weren't going to play and we were going to start with like breathing exercises first, then, don't get your instrument out until breathing exercises are done. But everything I want them to accomplish, and they know, they walk in, they go, oh, okay, well, we'll do our breathing exercises. Then we'll get our instruments out and we'll do some warm ups. And, oh, today we're going to play the 8-7-6 game and I'm going to win, So they always know what's on the board is what we're going to do. And if we don't get it done, it's okay. That's the other thing. I hate when, and I was in these ensembles, so I can say this, I hate it when they put, this is what we're going to do on the board. And if we didn't get it done, we got well, we didn't get to this today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we didn't get to it, but guess what? We can move it to next time. And that's what we'll do. All right. And it's not that I feel like I have to be a cheerleader, but if I talk to them like I'm angry that they didn't get something done, then they're not going to want to come back. But anyway, other than that, I love to play with my kids, especially the beginners. Like they'll go, play my horn today, and they're all sitting up. I have them all out. And it was funny because my administrators, when we went to remote, walked in my room. And of course I have a cart and I have two computers, one to project up and one that I'm talking to.
Okay.
And so that I can see all of them. And if I have to like share my screen, I can still see all of them. But then I'm in this little cave with every instrument out, like on stands, so that I could just pick one up and play it and pick one up and play it. And they're like, you're crazy. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. I've been called worse. So yes, but that's how it looks. And the same thing, like I said, when they pop up on their Zoom call, oh, hey, Johnny, hey, hi, Siddharth, you're first today. They all want to be first.
And today I salute you because you today are honest. You are motivating and you are caring. And we felt it today in the room. We heard your sound. So
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just happy to be here. And I'm really, really, really honored that you asked me. So thank you again. This is great.